It is 7 p.m. on November 23rd, 2021, and we are going to open up the administrative board meeting. Roll call, please.
Side note first, the microphones are not connected to the audio system for tonight. So for Glenda to be able to hear you, I need you to speak loudly, clearly, one microphone.
I can't.
I know, Chris.
And one at a time.
And one at a time, which is why she couldn't just hear me. So just your heads up on the audio for tonight. So roll call for tonight, I have trustees Chris Samples.
Here.
Thank you. John Talbot.
Here.
William Lexinger.
Present.
Nathan Mize.
Here.
Jen Christensen is absent. Bill Motisi.
Present.
President Rick Worm.
Here.
Treasurer Brenda Otomini.
Here.
I, Clerk Sandy Moss, here.
All right. On the consent agenda this evening, we have two items, sorry. My glasses are at home. I broke them. We have the October 26th, 2021 administrative board minutes, and we have the bills payable warrant list from November 23rd, 2021. At this time, do any of the board members wish to remove any of the items from the consent agenda for further discussion?
Then you do right in first.
Oh, sorry. I'm off on a rampage. You haven't even called roll.
I did roll call. That was him reading in the items for the consent
You
agenda.
gotta read the ones, what items.
Okay.
Item one,
All right, I
2026.
move to place agenda items 1 and 2 inclusively as consent agenda items. Further, I move that all items be considered together as the consent agenda.
I'll second that way.
All right, well, William makes a motion to place items 1 and 2 inclusively as the consent agenda. John seconds. Roll call, please.
Jen is absent. Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William.
Yes.
I'm gonna do this more often, Chris, if that's how you do it.
Your stuff's not even roll.
Motion passes 702. Entertain second motion.
Somebody's gonna get a bucket.
I move to adopt items 1 and 2 inclusively on the consent agenda in a single group pursuant to the omnibus vote
I'll second that.
procedure specified in the Illinois Municipal Code. I don't know why we're doing this, only 2 items. This is actually taking longer. It's more than 2 items.
There's 3 items.
2.
There's 2. What happened to the third?
C is the one if we
Oh.
remove.
It's a rough night, people.
It's a rough
Second.
I second, yeah.
All right, William makes a motion to adopt items 1 through 2 on the consent agenda. Chris seconds.
Bill,
Sorry, Bill seconds.
Oh, my God.
Roll call, please.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
William,
And to think we're gonna cut one of these nights out.
William.
Yes.
Jen is absent.
All right, that motion passes 703. There is no
Painful.
reason to have item C, so nothing was removed. Move the report to the officers. I have nothing to report this night, except I'm glad to be back. And we move on to Sandy.
Last week we discussed the 2022 meeting date calendar, and I was asked to stick it on again for this week, so I have done so. During the discussion last week, we were discussing the kind of how long the meetings are taking and things like that. So in less than 5 minutes of time, because we record these meetings, I was able to gather the average meeting length since January 1st of this year, so I did want to share that as well. So the average length of a first committee meeting is 46 minutes, a regular meeting is 33, a second committee meeting is 41, and the admin meeting is a whopping 23 minutes.
Well, you guys sure should have been around for the long haul meetings.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I was explaining this to some of the trustees after the meeting, is that back in the day, the trustees held the brunt of the work. They were the ones doing the manual labors and actually doing a lot of the things and obtaining quotes. And some of the things have now been passed off to supervisors who take over that work. And so I think that we're able to move more efficiently in this room because you guys aren't necessarily doing the legwork. You're here presenting, discussing, and then moving forward. Anyway, that's what I bring to the table, is that even if we combined meetings, you're still looking an hour maybe.
After discussing this with William, I'm all for removing either the first or the third meeting of the month. I think the second and the fourth need to remain. I don't care.
They do
first
for
or
bills payable. So
What's that?
second and fourth weeks.
Right,
for
so
bills
we can pay
payable.
bills, but other than that, personally, I mean, I don't care first or third, but personally, first being gone would be my preference.
I think if we remove the first, you could have a scenario twice a year where we don't have a meeting for
which we currently have anyway.
No.
3 weeks straight?
So, well, we don't
And the
have it,
fifth, during the twice a year, we have a
Yeah.
fifth Tuesday, we have a 2-week span. If we eliminate the first
yes.
meeting and only go with the second, third, and fourth, we will have a 3-week span twice a year, which could pose a problem.
Well,
I think we eliminate the third meeting.
right now, we currently do have a 3-week span on the approval of bills, which is what's important to us. And so like there will be 3 weeks between now and the next time that you guys approve bills.
So that's, we already do that.
No, if
The
we need
thing-
a
the thing is,
special
I-
meeting,
I
get
think
it done,
with-
though.
If you have, if you
Hold
can
on,
just,
hold on, because of the audio, I can only have one of you talking.
go ahead,
Hold on.
Bill.
If we have to handle a special, have a special meeting, because we have to handle special bills, or something has to be done, we certainly can do that. We're doing that now, if we need something,
Yeah.
so.
Well, I disagree. Go
I
ahead, finish your thought. All right.
couldn't hear you, Chris.
That's all right.
Go ahead, Bill. Finish what you have to say.
Then,
All right, Chris, go ahead.
All I'm saying is, if you don't schedule a meeting, I'm not going to be here. I'm not gonna wait until the last minute and somebody tell me then we have a meeting unless there's something special. I mean, really special. I don't mean just, we need to pass some bills special. I mean, there better be an issue, otherwise I'm not gonna be here.
Well, I will say this, I've been discussing this with William today, and to your point of you wanting to be here, we were talking about probably the biggest time we would look at adding special meetings would be during budget. And that was one you wanted to be part of.
Well,
And
Mayor,
that wouldn't be a 48-hour notice. That would be something that's planned out.
Right.
Week and a half.
that's what I'm saying. If
Yeah,
I've
I'm with
already
you
made a
then. If
plan-
it's a 48-hour notice,
Yeah, all right, that's fine, because that's what I'm saying. If I've already made a plan, that's it.
We already have things in place for doing emergency expenditures, say something like that came up. We've already got it set up to approve them at the next meeting. The only reason I was saying, William, about going with keeping meetings 2, 3, and 4 is it doesn't leave you that gap in between the meetings where you get confused on whether or not you're supposed to be here.
Okay, what if I toss this out there?
Toss.
What if we just had a regular and an admin meeting? Because even if you combine the total time, you're talking about an hour average of those 2 meetings. And that saves the village about $10,000 in costs. That's just the cost of board members. Then you're also adding in the cost of employees and employee time for meeting preparation.
I prefer we crawl before we walk.
Hold on, this is what I said last week though, which is I can add meetings back in. So if we choose to walk and at the end of January determine that did not work well, I can revise the calendar. And I think it's gonna be easier for me to convince you guys to go backwards than it is to go forwards. And so I would prefer that we attempt the schedule with no committee meetings, and then if it doesn't work out at the end of January, we revise the meeting calendar for the year and put one of them back in. But I think that we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well-
I think we'll be pleasantly surprised at what can be accomplished when we know that this is what we need to be focused on.
This is what I was.
I'll sign up for 3, I won't sign up for that.
I think you'll end up with what the reason we actually went to the schedule we had in the first place, which is you're gonna have people showing up to meetings. If there's things on there to approve that we haven't even discussed,
Yeah.
you're gonna have people get pissed off,
You're gonna
which is
have,
why we went to the set schedule we're on now.
part of the reason. The other reason was because we had committee meetings that were all over the place and not everybody was involved in that.
Well, we moved our schedule to all Tuesdays. We used to have a Monday utilities meeting, a Wednesday finance meeting.
Yeah,
I'm
it
willing
was-
to drop one at the moment. I'm not willing to drop 2.
One
So,
only for me.
hold on, here's the other thing. I also want you guys to then keep in mind that I agree with Rick in this scenario that it needs to be the first one, only because that puts the second one, me asking Dan and Matt to attend to the second one, so that anything of substance can be discussed then, drafted in time for the second committee meeting, and then approved at the admin meeting.
But then you're
I
coming
just
right
have to
in
come to the
here.
committee meeting to discuss all the details and then pass it at a board meeting.
I can ask if they can do that, because that's asking the attorneys to move their schedule. I'm more familiar with Matt's than I am with their attorneys.
I don't know if I want to eliminate the first one. I prefer to eliminate the third.
The third one
But whatever.
historically is our, the 2 committee meetings is our less substantive one.
Third works better for me. from the schedule.
You keep it or lose it. Again, again, it doesn't matter to me which one. It's just, my point was 2, 3, 4 is easier for some people than
Yeah,
1, 3, 4.
I thought this was about their, if the agenda didn't have much stuff on it. So,
That would be the second meeting.
well, then should it be that should be whichever meeting that is. So you're saying that's the fourth meeting of the month,
The third meeting of the month.
then it should be the third.
Well, that's irrelevant, because you can assign the content of the meeting. to
Right.
whatever meeting
Whatever's on that
we're
one now is
have.
gonna move.
Well,
It just so happens to be that the first meeting is more loaded than the third one currently, because over a decade.
but
we've been
that's
meeting
the
4 times
reason
a
why
month.
you're considering lowering a meeting, is because you don't meet.
But I'm
So,
saying, for me, and I think we talked about it before, your first month meeting gets us ready for whatever we gotta do at the second month of the meeting, which should be the dog and pony show. Where we show up, it shouldn't be question this, question that, we should be voting on everything we just discussed. So we're either gonna do it on the third, and then have a whole 2 weeks off, or crap's gonna come up in the 2-week interim. So if you keep the first one, you're gonna be polished on your second one. I think that's the reason to do it that way.
Let's get the cart behind the horse first. Is everybody okay with limiting the meeting?
Yes,
I don't like the idea, but I'll do it.
John?
I like the trial.
I'm not in favor of it either, but I'll do this. Because I think we tried to condense before, and we're just gonna make that meeting, well, but that's what we're here for anyway. So that's-
I'm for it.
Bill?
You're talking about just one meeting a week?
Limiting one for now.
the third or the first.
Well, we'll get that.
Oh,
I don't.
Cart
care.
next.
okay, you know,
Let's get the horse first.
how do we handle, now we've got the planning and zoning meetings that are all listed.
Yes,
Now, I see our notice up here, well, it's been canceled for
Yeah.
this week and that. Why can't you cancel other meetings if you need them? You know, that are listed? Is there a difference between the,
yes.
what's that difference?
So I know Glenda and I talk about a week in advance of that. So I know before I've had to prepare any documentation that that one is being canceled. I don't know from you guys a week in advance that a meeting is being canceled. And so if you choose to cancel a meeting, I still have to act as if there's going to be a meeting. I still have to prepare the reports, the agenda, the board packet, the ordinances and resolutions. All of that still has to occur because I don't typically know that a meeting's being canceled until Friday.
And typically the planning and zoning commission, if there's
They
nothing,
don't
Yeah.
have.
if we have nothing going on.
Yeah.
They literally have nothing.
Nope, and Glenda and I communicate about a week in advance, which is more notice than I typically get in this scenario.
I was gonna add as the chairman of the
Hold on,
planning,
hold on, Glenda, go ahead.
as the chairman of the planning and committee, I agree with Rick. Sandy and I talk to see if there is anything that needs to be scheduled a meeting for. We're not gonna charge the village unnecessary funds to have the board meet and there not be anything for us to discuss, where you guys always have something to discuss.
So everybody's okay with eliminating a meeting. John and William would like to see the third one, if that's the one we're gonna get rid of, out of the first and third. Chris?
Whatever. I don't, the third is fine with me, but I guess I just don't see, I think. I guess I'm not quite understanding.
We'll be as prepared for the regular board meeting if we skip the first meeting.
Fine,
That's all.
hold on, let me finish. I'm not really in favor of cutting out any, because I don't want it to end up getting longer, which is why I prefer to just cancel meetings. But if you guys decide to go that way, that's fine, I'll go with it. But it should be the one that we have released, and I want to know ahead of time so I can do other things.
Well, the least one is the third. At least by time once. Bill?
My schedule is very demanding right now. And if we can lessen the meeting, fine. I wanted, some of the committee meetings removed before, talked about the cost on that, but besides the cost, it's, do we have something that really has to be discussed? And at that point, we can change the schedule any way we want, and we have to have a special meeting to do our job, we can do that.
We're just asking if you want, would you prefer to cancel the first one or the third one? That's all we're asking. Can we get a consensus of which one? to cut?
You
Does
don't
it
want
matter
to
to
do
you one
two.
way or the other?
You
No?
don't want to do two, you just want to do one.
We're just doing the trial. The first or the third?
That is true.
We can-
How much time is there difference?
Oh,
Okay,
we can ask
I don't-
them.
then you think about that,
Is
why the
third
first
and
one's
fourth?
longer?
Because we have met on the first one, and so if we choose to do 3 meetings together to try to avoid the gap in the meetings and do the second, third, and fourth, I can ask Matt to come to the second committee
Well,
meeting.
Maybe,
I do agree with John on the point though, something he brought up, or
I know.
you brought it up too, is that that first meeting will make sure that we're prepared for the following week, with the regular board meeting. Which is what we do the majority of our work.
may we try taking one away? And then if that doesn't work, or if it does work, we can see if we want to take another one away later on.
Yes,
This way, we're not jumping the ship and
Right
say,
now,
hey,
we're-
come back, come back.
we're just looking at which one you'd rather see gone, first or third.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something?
Go ahead, Glenda.
I'm totally against this. I voted for you guys on the platform when you ran. You were going to represent this village 4 times a month. So being that's what you ran on, I disagree with this.
What if I told you that last week's 9-minute meeting cost $425?
More than that.
It was a
It's
9.
the cost of doing business.
The week before was a 9-minute.
Last week was.
I'm sorry,
That was
it
here.
cost $425 for the 9-minute meeting we had the week before last.
Where I would agree, it's cost of doing business, it's also, we're in tough budgetary times.
We are.
Remember, there was a time we didn't have all these committees.
Are we cutting meetings because it's tough budgetary times, or are we cutting meetings because we don't have enough? in the
It was my
agenda?
idea. It's a combination. I don't think, I think you're cutting one of them because of lack of a need. I don't think we need
That-
4.
I agree with that. The money one don't sell.
There is a savings, it's a fraction in comparison to the overall general budget. It is a savings, it's a fraction though, but I don't think we need 4 meetings.
You could potentially be saving though, the cost of a part-time employee in the parks in the summer.
All right,
So
Nathan,
For me,
well-
I agree with you, but it's also a money and a time.
Well, Bill's still contemplating first or third. First or third.
I'm willing to even just like scrap the first 3 months just to see how it works. I'm tired of doing the status quo for over 10 years, to be honest.
We need to scrap the first 3 months.
All right,
Whatever meeting we
No
decide.
meetings.
Oh,
for
I don't
two
care
days.
one way or the other either. I mean, William and Rick, you have the busiest schedules probably, so if we can help either one of you by cutting it.
It would help me.
It don't matter to me.
Well, like I said, if we can't be here, we usually just let people know in advance. And
I haven't really, it doesn't matter one way or the other. I just like the dog.
I think it's ridiculous we come in here for a 10-minute meeting, and then we charge the residents $15, especially in a committee meeting, that's nothing going on.
I'm gonna do your
and First or
taxes.
third Tuesday, again, no matter me, I've got something else I can do on those first and third Tuesdays that I haven't been able to do in 10 years. So
Yeah, that's, yeah.
literally,
No, you can add it one thing.
well, no, but since we changed this May meeting schedule.
out the third meeting. Is that what it is? The third?
All right,
Take away the first, because the third, the time difference between the meetings, it doesn't matter, if it's the first or the third.
Right, because you're gonna move Matt to the other one. Nathan,
I don't have a preference. If I have to vote, third is where I go. I don't know
eliminate the third.
if I have to.
That seem would be the consensus.
I make a motion to approve the 2022 meeting schedule as presented with the amendment of removing the 3rd Tuesday of the month for the second committee meeting as listed on the schedule.
Yeah, that sounds good to me, seconded.
William makes a motion to approve the meeting. That's not it. The 2020 meetings date schedule with the removal of the second committee meeting of each one. William seconds, Bill seconds. Any discussion? Roll call.
All right, John,
Yeah.
Nathan,
Yes.
Chris,
Present.
That was at 7 o'clock.
William,
Yes.
Jen is absent, Bill.
Yes,
Why not?
Motion passes 7:21.
Great. The only thing I have on there is another painful discussion. So we continue to add the header to our agenda for the pandemic regulations. We have yet to use it. Does anybody care about it? We just get rid of it?
no, why get rid of it? I know this is Ogle County, it's not Winnebago, but Winnebago's only got 51.4% of their people who've taken the shots.
So, Bill, it's only applicable if I don't have a quorum here. And I have yet to not have a quorum here.
Yeah,
So that's when it applies.
and I kind of thought they were gonna go back to the emergency order, which is why I wanted it anyway, so we didn't have to come. And since I haven't missed one anyway, what's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah, and we can always add it back if something happens and we need it, but we haven't used it and it takes up a good chunk.
Would
of
we
my
add
space.
it back on? the
And if
third
you're
week?
sick, you can still remote it.
Yes.
Sorry,
Sick
what'd you
will
say?
Yeah.
Will we be adding it back in on the third week?
Yes.
Okay.
Only on the.
So, anyway, if nobody has any objections, I'd like to remove it again. Nobody's taken
Yes.
advantage of it. We haven't had the need for it. We can always go back to it if we need it, as long as the executive order is in place.
So if you're sick on the third week,
You can call in, but nobody's gonna answer.
right, it'll be fine.
I hear you knocking.
That's all I had.
All right, Brenda.
Okay, I just want to make a statement about what the public had said last week about the memorial.
Can you speak louder?
I just want to make a statement about what the public said about the memorial last week. I did look at it the next day. I do take the memorial a little personal, as Sandy has told me. And it does not look disrespectful. You can still read all the names. Sure, some of the paint is fading and some of it's going away, but it's not disrespectful.
Put my name on the shadow side of it.
No.
I would like to add that. If I could add with what Brenda said, I did go out there, not necessarily the next day, but a day or two after that, wearing my new glasses that I picked up at the mall, and everything on there is very legible. I mean, yeah, there are a few that needs to be touched up, but those have been there. And as Brenda will contest, that is not something you just Google and find somebody that comes out and does that. It takes a special number to call and find somebody that's willing to do that, and then come out and willing to do it at a fair price. But I mean, everything for me there was legible with my new glasses, and I was fine. I thought the way Nate had it decorated for this time of year, with the prime or the stuff growing and it was picked up, really good.
That's all I have.
Okay, more committees. Anybody have anything for Jen?
Just a reminder that the holiday drive-through party is December 4th from 3 to 5 p.m. at the fire station.
All right. Finance.
Do I have any emergency expenditures?
You do not.
Do not. Apparently, there's a discussion of tax levy on here. Anybody have any thoughts on the tax levy?
Yeah. Third
Yes,
Tuesday in
right.
January.
What's the most we can raise?
5%.
Well, no, the most you can raise is like,
Well,
You
right.
can raise it.
Without a referendum?
Yeah.
Without a public
not a
hearing.
public hearing, it's 5%.
I get what you mean.
Well, if we get rid of.
4.99.
5%.
I know, I was suggesting.
Well, no, so
People
it's,
feel better about 4.99
Fine.
than 5%.
so it's actually 5.01.
That's why your gas is 295.
5% is the max without a public hearing.
I still recommend 4.99%.
I believe, I was looking at the treasurer's report last week and the very hard decision-making that this board discussed at length at our committee meetings. And the plan that we implemented, it will be successful. And with the rate we put on the water bill, I think I'm willing to propose a 4.9% tax levy to see where we're at.
Fine.
We do
Just a
5.
fine.
It makes the numbers easier for Brenda and
5.
Okay.
I, especially since we already had to reduce it by 65 cents to round down.
If the Was the 251 water extension, or water, that business out there, was that discussed in public knowledge?
Yes, it was, but there has
Okay.
not been any further discussion on that.
Well, if that comes to fruition, that will kickstart a lot of the savings that we were looking to implement. So I'd like to see if that comes to fruition.
The extension of 250 from Washington business and talent, so it's not 251.
I'll talk to you
Months
afterwards.
ago, Chris.
And I forgot, I'm getting old.
I'm-
My memory's going.
I believe the plan we have
Oh.
will be successful at this point. So I'm willing to stick with the 5% tax levy.
Well, I just think that if you're gonna charge people, to me, I'd prefer to do the 5% tax levy than, up in somebody else's bill, because it's based on your house value, which is, bit more attributed to
A
what.
5% tax levy is probably gonna increase.
I know it's
Right.
It's
very,
gonna be minute, it's $3,200 for the whole entire village.
right, and I know it's a lot.
And the residents don't have any control over that.
I know, but it's fair to the people, who have a lower value and probably less money, and if you're, 65 or above, and
Why did you
Frozen.
look at me when you said that?
I don't know why not.
Oh, you were looking at Bill.
Is anybody opposed to 5% now? Just direct Brenda to have that written down.
5% is fine.
Great.
It'll come up in 2 weeks.
Already done, it'll be on the agenda in 2 weeks for the committee meeting for first review of the tax levy ordinance, and then if everybody's okay, we have the agenda product.
That
Beautiful.
sounds fantastic.
Thank you.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Bill?
I just had a thought here, cutting out all these meetings, supposedly, what's that gonna save us? You said, what, on 10,000?
$5,100 because you only. have
So,
one.
yeah, so if we cut the meetings like we're doing, then we don't need this tax increase, do we?
Yeah,
$3,000.
So if we're talking about two,
We're already saving $2,000.
yeah.
There's already a saving.
Well, so the village is saving $5,000 on us, and then we do a $3,000 tax increase.
Right.
That's $8,000.
It's the same.
We still
In the
have
budget.
how big is the difference between the water sewer revenue
A
and how much we charge the residents, so
Okay,
we're
yeah.
still out money.
can we possibly hold the
Be right.
utility bills down totally, take the money out of that?
We don't have any money in that.
Can't rob Peter.
We're already short money in there.
What we do levy for property taxes pays for our insurance
Right.
and our audit.
Been doing
That's
that
where that
since
money
day one.
goes. That's where that money goes. And it doesn't even cover how much the insurance costs the village.
The property tax does not cover anything of operational level of the village. Not at all.
Never had.
That's what we levy it for.
Yeah.
Right, right.
It's a good stuff.
But when your insurance goes up 22%, the levy goes up 5%.
I understand. I totally get it.
Well, we have to do what's really best for the village, and
Mhm.
people don't understand what we're up against.
Yeah.
The residents, these bills are going up, and when does it stop?
It never stops. Your bills
Well,
all-
but we have to cut it down somehow.
Wages.
That's our
Well-
obligation.
Like I said, it pays for our corporate insurance,
Wages.
not medical insurance, the corporate insurance to cover all our buildings, all our trucks, all our, everything.
So
That's what the property tax levy covers at this moment.
And you
And the
said-
audit.
it was about $3,200 will be the
Yes.
total of the increase for the 6%, or for the 5%. If I divide that over the 700 homes that we're billing, and that's not even by property value, that's just assuming a rooftop, they will see a $4.57 max increase.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's an estimated,
No,
right?
no.
Not based on property.
Plan.
Not based on
I
property.
understand that.
So we're talking pennies here.
Sounds
Separate,
good.
separate from school
Dollars,
district.
we're
I
talking
don't know.
dollars.
It's 400.
Sounds good, Ray.
All right,
After I-
all
I
right,
still
ordinance
like
enforcement.
4.9.
Bill.
Say that again now, I'm
You-
getting confused here. We're not gonna cut it.
Your committee,
Oh, my committee.
We're cutting your committee.
Oh, so they're gonna say, okay. So
your
we're saying
meetings,
more money.
your meetings are now on the third Tuesday.
Am I cut or am I still?
Well, this has
here?
started off as a bad meeting and only getting worse.
He's kidding. It's a joke.
Okay. No, go ahead, Bill.
I didn't even see the paperwork.
That's one of Rick's best ones.
It's wrong.
Nothing. After all that.
I haven't heard my name.
All right,
Yes,
Just skip over him and go right this.
I just caught what he said, never mind. Parks, John,
Nothing to see.
utilities, Nathan,
Oh.
I skipped over
Well, that's
Chris.
all right. That's
All right,
I'll
Go ahead,
go
Nathan.
last, but
Nothing.
I have that opportunity.
Is it,
Actually, just ask what we can.
Streets, Chris, William, whichever one.
for streets though, we did pay the final payment,
Yeah,
tonight for the autumn wolf extension. and the
Right,
drainage. That was the
for
final
Amtrak's.
payment. Yes.
Yeah, all right, great.
That has been signed.
Yeah, no, it's just, they didn't. The subcontractor for Amtrak's who did the landscaping portion of the project, due to the drought and the rest, it didn't come out so well, so we made an agreement with Amtrak's they would pay us, or sorry, we would reduce their final payment by what we would need to reseed the area and fertilize it, which is what we did.
Okay.
So now we're done, and it really doesn't look very good out there, but it was a terrible growing year for the grass, especially because they finished the project last year at late in the year, so it didn't really get a chance to take hold. We'll see. Fergie and the engineers, we all came up with a plan and it worked out pretty well. Other than that, I guess we're just ready for now winter and the snow. And hopefully that it won't be too snowy so that we don't have to pay extra. We did get our bid in for the state salt bid, so we should have plenty of salt. That's it for me, thanks.
yeah, Chris, a good question here.
Sure, go ahead.
Has everything, anything new with the city of Rockford going down Junction Road for us?
They fixed as much as they're gonna fix for now, which is fine. Fergie went out there and looked at it, and he said it'll hold as much as he can expect it to for this winter.
Who was gonna talk to them about the I don't know.
Matt,
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, so we'll wait till
we'll
Matt on
hear
that
from
first.
him on the first
All right.
Tuesday
All
and
right,
next one.
That's really.
I know, thanks, Matt Hanson. At least he's still here.
Are they gonna bring
Today.
double, we get double pizza?
how much
They won't both be here.
Salt did we, you recall how much salt we ordered? If not, don't about it.
50, because last.
No, we
year
reduced it, yeah.
It was 175, I wanted the year before, I think we were 150 or 125 this year.
Yeah, but it's not a set amount because with the
Right.
state salt bid, you get 80 to 100.
80 to 120.
Right,
So
so
you gotta buy it, you gotta
You
buy
have,
it,
you
right?
have to take. a
No,
minimum-
I
You have
mean,
to take a minimum amount, I believe.
Yeah, you gotta, you have to
Yeah,
pay for it,
you have to.
whether
take
we use it or not.
but no, that's not, because you can go down to 80%, so you don't have to use the full amount.
You gotta
of
use the
total.
80, yes.
Yeah,
So yes, you have to pay for the minimum of the 80% of whatever you ask them
Yeah.
for.
What's our salt dome capacity?
Yeah,
I
not
know,
much.
Peanuts,
not
I know,
80%.
20,
I have no idea. Fergie and I have never discussed it. We have discussed getting, having a salt dome / shed, whatever, but we don't currently have the money for it.
maybe we should discuss the projects for next year and then the dome, and see what's a priority.
Right. And no, that's no problem with me. I still expect the funds to be down and us not to have the funds to be able to complete
Well,
it, even though I would consider that a priority over almost anything else.
if the finance plan that we come up with follows through by the end of the year, we should be not be in a crunch even with the reduced revenue.
I guess we'll have to talk about that, because, if that's the case, that'd be great, because I would prefer, this is just me, I would prefer that the village have enough salt to last me out throughout the winter. So you're not either stuck buying salt at a ridiculous a price, or you don't have enough salt to have the road safe.
Oh, trust me, about 8 years ago, we were looking at buying 100 rail cars and having a truck in Phoenix. It was so bad.
Oh, it was gonna come in from
Right.
the Gulf.
Right.
Gone,
It would have come in from the Gulf and up.
Yeah, it was
Might as well
horrible.
unload it.
I'm with you. That needs to be rectified.
Yep.
Whether wherever the guys determine to do it, however they choose to do it, we need a plan.
Right.
So,
I know that when we order salt, are we doing this with the state's order also?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a state salt bid. You tell them the amount of salt that you need and they put it out with their bid, so you get the better price because you're buying, you know, in bulk.
Do we have any?
Is it only you have to take 80% unless they want what you have, and then you don't get any?
Yep, we have been stuck where they took our percentage, that's on a bad winter. Took our,
And the state can take your salt.
So,
Yeah.
well, I
Do we
guess they're
have
gonna
any-
do that anyway then. Huh?
Do we have any other contingency plans with our neighboring communities? That if they run short and we have excess, you know, the way the weather is, that we would help them out and vice versa.
We
they would
have in
help
the
us
past
out.
reached out to them, whatever.
We don't have a formal agreement with
No.
it.
I'd be willing to bet with our lack of storage ability, we do not have excess on hand.
Well, I can guarantee you that, but if you could take delivery and you had more than enough, I could see where you could allow them to take.
So last year,
delivery
we
from yours.
discussed taking our delivery and dumping it over there and splitting it with them.
To Stillman,
Yeah,
so you didn't lose the money.
Yeah.
That sounds reasonable.
actually, we were gonna have to pay for it anyways, it was so we didn't lose the product.
No, I get that.
Yes.
I would be fine with that, except for I would prefer it if we could somehow get it close. The problem is you never know what the winter's gonna be like, and getting it close, maybe.
I agree with you, finding a solution to our storage is a priority.
Well, other than that, you know, I don't have any problems with streets and business.
Done?
Yep.
Economic development? No, I went Nathan before.
Oh, sorry. I missed that.
Nothing today.
I skipped-
Still,
I skipped streets, went to Nathan, then went back to streets.
Did we ever,
Well, maybe on economic development, somebody could help me out here. So, sorry. So the guy who's building, you know.
Benny's,
Yeah, Benny's. It doesn't seem like they've made much progress. Are
no,
we,
they have not.
are we, you know?
Are we the reason?
Yes, there we go. Are we the reason?
We are not the reason.
Alright.
You seem gung ho.
There is a lot of back and forth, and when it is not in our possession, there seems to be a delay of time and then an emergency push once it's back in our possession.
Well, I was just noticing that the progress they were making on the new fuel station, Loves,
Yes.
was making a lot of progress, yeah.
I'm sure there's a little more dollars behind that.
I'm sure there are, but, you know.
It's people living there.
When documents are
Yeah, they're
here,
living on site
we
over
do
there.
turn them around in a timely fashion.
We don't want to be the reason.
I just
We're
assumed-
not the reason.
I
that
just
there's-
assumed they had the financing available to move forward with their
I
project.
don't think that's the hiccup.
Oh, all right.
So Sandy and I had this conversation,
It's
that we
not
do
the
not
hiccup.
want to be the reason. there's
Yeah,
no-
Right.
so we are not the hiccup at this
and that's
point.
just what I was wondering, has there been any more about the grocery store?
The grocery store, I sent him the flats, he said he was coming to town the week before last, I have not heard back.
Uh,
So is this the secret guy you're talking about?
What's that?
There are no secrets.
No, the gentleman that wanted to build
You
in
don't know the
town,
name.
Okay, too many people talking.
the gentleman that I talked to told me about the other project that he wouldn't really release what he wanted to do. I did reach back out to him and told him some of the stuff that we have rejected in the past along 72, and I haven't heard back from him after that. Been within one of those realms.
Anybody know when Love's is open?
No idea.
I haven't-
Not that soon, because it's not that.
It's a big one.
We get our pizza.
They were paving out there though. Oh, man.
Godfather's,
Yep.
more pizza. Put it on the rants page.
They're just moving along. So
They were.
I love turtles too. Anybody else have anything on that economic development?
What?
But you're like the third person, I'm sorry. It's like you pens.
She usually steals my cookie pen.
I just tried to find one to replace it with.
Sandy's gonna equip us all with pencils.
Okay. Public,
Nothing.
all right. Anything further from the board members?
Motion to adjourn.
John makes a motion to adjourn, William seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry.
Nope,
roll
last
call.
time. Chris,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Jen's absent, Bill,
Yes,
John,
Yes.
Nathan,
Yes.
and the time.
We are adjourned.
One more.
7:40.
have a nice holiday, everybody, forgot to